Someone will say, we know that selenium will prevent damage to the thyroid if you're exposed to radiation, and then report on it. But the source is a mainstream medical journal or basic science research. It is not true that this is not based on mainstream medical research. Everything is.
And so they, of all people, know the value and the efficacy of these natural products.
Yeah, and they also know it can't be patented. Mm-hmm. Anything that's natural can't be patented.
So would you say that's it? That's hitting the nail on the head? That's right there? That's
there's
the issue?
A lot of talk about, the pharmaceutical industries, this and that. Certainly the main cause of death now, according to standard research, with their products. But the fact remains that it is a trend. So if a trend begins where great medicines are discovered, and great medicines were discovered, like the antibiotics and so on, in the 40s and 50s, then something begins to accelerate, something begins to amplify in the same way that we started out with the Model T Ford, and now we've got a car industry that's immense. Now the problems arise, and then of course interests arise that have to do with profit and maintaining those profits. I think it's too short-sighted to just say that it's the corruption of the pharmaceutical industry. It's corruption, period. It's just human, all the way to the ancient Babylonians.
And it's an inertia almost, like it's a direction that people are.
Yeah, and you have to be constantly vigilant.
And more so than ever, and that's why this is coming to the forefront. Something like this bill that's being proposed, probably so that people can speak up and we can start taking the reins and say this is what we want. We want to be in control of our lives and be able to make decisions in our best interest ourselves.
Yes, but you should be able to make those decisions regardless of whether you believe in standard medical care or whether you believe in alternative.
Right,
you should have the freedom to decide.
Either way.
Sometimes people mix the two. Sometimes they want one or the other. But you should have informed consent, which is the basis of all medical law. And Bill C-51 takes that informed consent potential completely away from you. Oh, really? One of the really pernicious aspects of this is that under Section 3, subsection 6 of Bill C-51, any foreign law, like Codex Alimentarious, which is the international standard setting for drugs and foods, or a particular law that the United States has passed with regard to anything that concerns therapeutic products, would be introduced, not just could be, would be introduced into our Drugs and Foods Act by order in council, meaning cabinet decision, which cannot be questioned because it happens in camera, and no parliamentary, no media debate. So you wouldn't have a Bill C-51 to discuss here in your studio saying, well, do we want to take this American law about? Do we want to take Codex Alimentarious standards on what is a maximum and what is a minimum of a vitamin or a mineral? No discussion. It would be done by order in council under Section 3, subsection 6 of Bill C-51. And there's another one to make sure you really get it, and that's Section 30, subsection 7.
It's hard to even comment. It just sounds so unbelievable.
Right. We are not going to have any say in whether the Minister of Health or anyone else or the Prime Minister want to change our way of doing things with drugs because they happen to like what they're doing with Codex Alimentarious. It's part of our law. End of discussion. How about Big Brother? This is Big Daddy.
Mm-hmm. Unreal. It's unreal.
Now,
I'm wondering, like, viewers, it's almost like you can't even believe that this is going on because it sounds so. It's just so shocking. It's so shocking that things like this are being proposed.
Yeah, one wonders where this immense emergency is that requires such tremendous protective measures against poor, gullible Canadians by the all-knowing, wise, conservative government. Where's the emergency? Where are the dead bodies? We've never had a single case of death from an alternative medicine product in Canada. Yes. There have been some attributed to black cohorts, and the Minister, Clement, made that point. And then when you research it more carefully, you will find out that this is not so, because the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and the National Institute of Health in the United States, they keep all these statistics, and it turns out that the deaths that were attributed to black cohorts were actually by teenagers who were randomly picking up a whole bunch of drugs, including those that their mothers had in their cabinet for hot flashes, and ended up dying. The liver failure could be attributed to any of a dozen different things that these kids took.
Meanwhile, there are billions of dollars of court cases against pharmaceutical drugs that, in fact, have been
Yes.
causing problems for people.
Well, that's of course a major problem.
This is such an interesting thing. But I think through all this, we're all going to become more educated, and thanks to you. How does Bill 51 connect to Bill 52? Because we've got about 4 minutes left.
The two are interconnected through the concept of the powers of search and seizure. Under Section 23 of Bill 51, the Health Canada has powers of search and seizure that exceed the powers of the police and do not require warrants. They don't require any court proceedings afterwards. It's absolute power. It's totally arbitrary. If the minister considers it dangerous, it happens, and you can't ask questions, and they can walk into your office or your home if you happen to have your stuff in your home and take it all out and keep it and charge you for the van that they took to take it out with, and can keep it indefinitely, and you have no recourse to any kind of legal procedures. Bill 52 does this for all businesses, not just health. So Bill 52 then goes all the way and basically proposes, it's going on through first reading, proposes to remove Section 8 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is our Constitution, which guarantees us the right to an independent court procedure and the right to have our own property unaffected by anyone unless they have a reason, which they must prove to a third independent party, such as a court. That is a right that we have had for about 1,000 years. So Section 8 of the Charter is the one that is being attacked by Bill C-52, and it affects every kind of business. So in my case, if the Minister of Health, or anyone else for that matter, doesn't like that I'm publishing books on cutting-edge medicine, they can tell me to close my shop and take all the books away that are in my storage facility.
And charge you for the van.
And charge me for that as well. And I have no way of going to court, and there is no warrant necessary to do these things. That's Bill C-52. But that applies to a car dealership. That applies to everybody.
So thankfully, you are letting us know, and the viewers, once again, there's websites coming across here. You can make a difference. You can, and you have the right to be empowered about your health and your well-being. That's what this show is about. That's what today's show is about. And I think that on the planet more than ever, that's what we're here to do now, is to take action. Thank you, Helke Ferrie. Your life is your message. Thank you for being the change that we need here. And thank you to our viewers. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week.